The forest of Eldoria was ancient, a kingdom of tangled roots and towering canopies, where sunlight fell in dappled coins upon the mossy floor. In a sun-drenched clearing at its heart, a lion named Kibo ruled not with fear, but with a quiet, immense presence. His mane was not a perfect sunburst, but a tangled map of greying gold, scarred from a long-ago clash with a rogue buffalo. He was past the age of frantic hunts. His strength now was in his stillness. Kibo had one remaining cub, a young male named Jabari, whose paws were too big for his body and whose roar was a squeaky gust of air. Jabari saw the forest not as a kingdom, but as a playground of endless mysteries. He was fascinated by the chattering monkeys, the skittering lizards, and the great silent owls that watched from the shadows. Things Kibo, in his regal focus, had long learned to ignore. "Father, why do we only rule the ground?" Jabari asked one afternoon, watching a leopard effortlessly haul a gazelle into the high branches. "The sky and the trees have kings, too." Kibo swished his tail, a gentle, dismissive gesture. "We are of the earth, Jabari. The sun on our backs, the solid ground beneath our paws, that is our domain. The trees are for those who cannot claim the open sky." But Jabari was not convinced. His curiosity was a fire in his belly. One evening, as a strange electric tension filled the air and the birds fell silent, he strayed from the clearing, following the trail of a glowing beetle deep into a part of the forest where the trees grew so close they blotted out the sun. It was here that the forest changed. The playful shadows became grasping fingers. The familiar paths vanished. The air grew cold, and a low guttural growl echoed, a sound that was not a challenge, but a promise of pure hunger. From the thicket emerged a creature Jabari had only heard in whispered tales, a massive, solitary forest hog, its tusks like curved daggers, its eyes small, red, and insane. It was a pariah, an outcast from its sounder, and it lived only to kill. Jabari's squeaky roar was swallowed by the oppressive silence. He backed away, his heart hammering against his ribs. He was fast, but the hog was a battering ram of muscle and rage, and it knew this tangled territory far better than he did. Back in the clearing, Kibo lifted his head. He did not hear a sound, but he felt a tremor in the forest's soul, the absence of his son's spirit on the wind. Without a moment's hesitation, the old lion was on his feet. He did not run with the blinding speed of his youth, but with a powerful, ground-eating stride that spoke of relentless purpose. He followed not a track, but a feeling, the invisible thread that connected him to his blood. He found them in a gully. Jabari, cornered against a fallen log, was dodging and swiping, but the hog was relentless, charging again and again, its tusks gouging the earth. Fear had frozen the young lion's limbs. Kibo did not roar. He simply stepped into the clearing, and his presence was like a sudden drop in pressure. The hog stopped, turning its red eyes to the new threat. It saw an old lion, a faded king, and it snorted in derision. What happened next was not a fight. It was a lesson. The hog-charged Kibo did not meet it head-on. He moved with an economy of motion that was breathtaking. A sidestep, a massive paw that struck not to wound, but to unbalance, a deep-throated growl that vibrated through the very earth. He used the hog's own momentum, throwing it against the trunk of an ironwood tree with a sickening crack. The hog staggered, its confidence shattered. It looked into Kibo's calm, ancient eyes and saw not rage, but an immovable truth. With a final, fearful grunt, it turned and fled, crashing back into the shadows from whence it came. Kibo walked to Jabari, who was trembling against the log. He did not scold him. He simply nuzzled his son's head. A rough, comforting gesture that, Kibo said, his voice a low rumble, is why we rule the earth. Not because we chase what is in the trees, but because we understand what walks upon the ground. Strength is not just in the claw, but in the knowing. As they walked back to their clearing, the first drops of a life-giving rain began to fall, washing away the scent of fear. Jabari walked closer to his father, no longer just seeing an old lion, but seeing the forest itself, its depth, its dangers, and its delicate balance. He had learned that the true king of the forest was not the strongest or the loudest, but the one who listened to its whispers and moved with its silent, unshakable rhythm.